1811. On a night when the sky itself seemed to collapse in snow, a young woman stepped into the storm and walked straight into a fate she could never undo. Because that night, she didn't just make a mistake, she married the wrong man. The wind howled like something alive. Snow erased every road, every direction, every certainty. No one dared to step outside, but she did. Her name was Maria. Born into wealth, raised with grace, desired by many, but her heart belonged to one man only, Vladimir, a poor officer with no fortune to offer except a love so deep it terrified her parents. "Forget him," they had said. "He is nothing." But love doesn't understand nothing. So they chose each other, in secret, in defiance, in desperation. A plan was made, a church, a silent night, a marriage no one could stop. "Tonight," Vladimir whispered, "no matter what happens, I will be there." Maria looked at the storm outside. "The weather." He held her hand. "No storm can keep you from me." That was the promise. And that night, Maria disappeared. She left behind her warm room, her family, her past, and stepped into the freezing unknown. The cold cut through her skin. The wind tried to push her back, but she kept walking because somewhere ahead was the man she loved and the life she chose. The church stood in darkness. Only a few candles flickered inside, like dying hope. The priest opened the door. "You came? But where is the groom?" "He will come," Maria whispered. She sat down and waited. Time slowed. The candles burned lower. 1 hour, 2, 3, each second heavier than the last. Her heart began to tremble. "Where are you, Vladimir? Did you lose your way, or did fate lose you for me?" "Child," the priest said softly, "it's too late." But she refused to move. "No, he promised." And then the door burst open. A figure stumbled in, covered in snow, barely visible. Maria stood up, her heart exploding with hope. "Vladimir!" The man lifted his face, and in that single moment, everything shattered. It wasn't him. A stranger, lost, confused, breathing heavily. "I'm sorry, I lost my way in the storm." But fate had already found him. "Are you the groom?" the priest asked. The stranger hesitated. The wind roared outside. The candles flickered. The girl stood silent, waiting, believing. And in that fragile, impossible moment, he said it. Yes. And just like that, without love, without truth, without knowing, 2 lives were tied together forever. A marriage born from a lie, sealed by a storm. Morning came. Light revealed what darkness had hidden. Maria looked at his face and screamed, "Who are you?" "He didn't know," he said, his voice shaking. "I thought this was meant to be." "Meant to be?" she cried. "You've destroyed my life." He stepped back. "I can disappear. No one will ever know." But Maria closed her eyes. Tears fell, silently, endlessly. "No, what's done is done." And in that moment, she buried her love alive. Far away, Vladimir was still fighting the storm. The wind blinded him, the snow led him astray. His horse carried him into darkness, into nowhere. He called her name into the void, but only silence answered. By the time he found his way back, it was already over. "She's married," they told him, "to someone else." No scream, no tears, just silence. Because some heartbreaks don't make a sound. Years passed, 6 long years. A home was built, Children were born, and the stranger, Berman, proved to be something fate rarely gives twice. Kind, patient, unconditionally gentle. He never demanded her love. He never asked for more than she could give. He simply stayed and waited. But deep inside Maria, a name still echoed: Vladimir. Until one day, she heard he was alive, alone, still untouched by love. And suddenly, the past returned like a ghost. So she wrote him one letter, one final chance. I am lost without you. Days later, his reply arrived. She opened it with trembling hands. I loved you. I waited for you. But now, you belong to another life. And because I love you, I will not take you away from it. Her hands fell. The letter slipped. And in that moment, she finally understood. Love is not always about holding on. Sometimes, it's about letting go. She burned the letter, watched the flames consume the last piece of her past. Then she turned and walked toward the man who had never left her side, Berman. He was sitting quietly, as always, as if he had been waiting for this moment all along. She sat beside him. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, I was never yours, not truly. He nodded. I know. Her voice softened. But today, I want to be. He looked at her, not with surprise, but with a quiet, patient hope. I searched for love in the past, but I found it right here, in your silence, in your patience, in your heart. Tears filled his eyes. After 6 years, the storm inside her had finally ended. She leaned into him, and for the first time, it felt real. Outside, the world was calm, but somewhere, far beyond time, a snowstorm still echoed. A storm that stole one love and quietly, gently, gave birth to another. That snowy night changed their lives forever. A misunderstanding had brought them together, but with time, that misunderstanding turned into love. Vladimir never came. He died, alone, sorrowful, unable to forget his love. But Maria and Berman's lives moved on. They say that whenever a snowstorm strikes that village, people look toward the church and wonder, who knows how many hearts were changed that night, how many bonds were formed, and how many were broken. And in Maria's house, a candle always remained lit in the window, a quiet remembrance that the decisions of fate are sometimes stranger than we can ever imagine. The decisions of fate are not always in our control, but true peace lies in accepting what we are given.